Welcome back to the Mystic Frightcast. I am your host, Zane DeYoung.
And I'm McKenna.
And we are a weekly show about horror movies and other scary stories.
That we are.
Voila.
That's us.
Today we are talking about unrelated things.
A little mishmash, if you will.
We watched the 2009 documentary Cropsey, and then we watched the 2019 movie The Art of Self-Defense, and we want to talk about both.
Yeah.
Although they don't really have anything in common.
No, not a lot.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. We didn't know what to do, so we watched Cropsey. And then we went to go see The Art of Self-Defense, like, pretty much right after that. And it turned out to be a little bit more twisted than we expected. So,
yeah,
we were like, well, let's make some loose connections and do both.
Yes, indeed.
How are you?
I'm doing okay.
Yeah?
Yep.
It's the morning.
It is. Yeah. Yep. How are you?
Well, not too bad. Not really wanting to go to work today, but...
Yeah. Same. It's very nice outside.
It's really nice. We've had nice weather, like, finally.
Yeah.
The last couple of days.
Yes.
There's the arts fair happening at the mall that I work at, and it's, like, such a pain. Because they close off, like, half of the parking garage for it, and it's stupid.
Yeah.
Like, it's great, but also... I don't understand why there's more people coming to the mall, so why close off half the parking garage? Doesn't make any sense to me.
Why do they close off half the parking garage?
Because they use it for the vendors.
Oh. Half seems excessive.
Well, okay, so there's like, I guess it's a third, because there are like 3, like, levels.
Yeah.
And they close off, like, the street level of it.
Huh.
So, like, you know where, like...
Yeah.
You come into the mall, they close off that whole bottom level of parking. Mm-hmm. And it's all for, like, the vendors. But, like, more people are coming to the mall because it's the arts fair.
Right.
Now, there's even less parking. Doesn't make a lot of sense.
It doesn't make a lot of sense.
No. So, I get to deal with that all weekend long.
Fun?
Yep. At least there's food trucks.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Food trucks are always good.
Yep. So I get something a little bit different than mall food.
Yeah. Always a good thing.
Sucks.
Yeah. We both got our job situations more or less figured out for moving.
Oh, yes. I'm feeling a lot less stressed.
Yeah. Stress update for McKenna.
Yeah. From the last episode. I have heard back from my job. I got the job that I wanted. And... I have a starting date, and you pretty much know, but not quite officially.
Yeah, I know that I'm going to be, like, working at the store that I wanted to work at. It's just a matter of in what capacity.
Position.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's good.
Yeah, and we applied to an apartment.
Yep.
That's really cute.
Fingers crossed. Be living in Manhattan Beach.
It'd be so nice.
Which would be nice. Yeah.
Things are happening.
Yeah.
It's like 2.5 weeks away.
Yeah.
It's coming up soon.
Yes.
Very excited.
Yeah, it'll be nice. Looking forward to California. Mm-hmm. Okay. Anything else you wanted to share before we jump in?
That's my life update.
Okay. All right. Okay. Which do you want to start with?
Maybe let's start with Cropsey.
Okay.
Because we can probably do that one pretty quick. It's a documentary about the real-life boogeyman of Staten Island. It's actually, I heard it on My Favorite Murder podcast, which I'm starting from the beginning. I'd, listened to a bunch of random episodes, but I'm going to go through it, like, chronologically now.
Yeah.
And it's, like, one of the first episodes, like, before, like, episode 10. It's, like, one of the first 10 episodes. It's a wild story.
Yes.
So there's a like, mental hospital institution in Staten Island, opened up in, like, 50s, 60s, and called Willowbrook. It was basically just, like, a dumping ground for people. So, like, anybody who had any kind of, like, mental disability or just was undesirable in any kind of way just kind of got dumped there. And, you know, with any hospital in the 50s and 60s, not a great place to be. And there's, like, videos from, like, the late 60s,
like 70s.
70s,
Yeah.
of children, like, naked on the floor, like, running around and, like, rocking back and forth. It's it's truly horrific.
Yeah, it is.
And there's a guy that worked there. His name was, what was his first name?
I don't remember.
His last name is Rand. We're just going to call him Rand.
Andre Rand.
Yes, Andre Rand. That's it. He worked there in some capacity, like, as a nurse or something. And, for this hospital, there were, like, multiple different buildings, and so there are underground tunnels kind of connecting the whole area, like, over multiple acres. And in the late 70s, early 80s, they closed down the hospital.
Yes.
And a lot of people ended up still living in those underground tunnels underneath the abandoned hospital.
Mole people.
Yes.
If you would.
And Andre Rand was one of those people.
Yeah.
You know, mid to late 80s, children all across Staten Island started disappearing. And they were all children with mental disabilities.
Yes.
So there's an autistic kid, there's a girl with Down syndrome, and they finally connected it to this guy, Andre Rand, who, like, was kidnapping these children and had a total god complex and thought he was, like, cleansing the earth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just truly disgusting.
Yeah. Really, yes. Just really, like, the worst kind of person.
Absolutely.
I'm trying to find if there's anything that he's, like, said or done recently. But I think he's been pretty, like...
Well, so he's up for parole, like, 2037.
Yeah, he's going to be, like, 93. Yeah.
So he's in his 80s right now.
Yeah.
Right?
No.
70s.
He'd be in his late 70s, yeah.
I haven't seen him in the media.
Yeah. You can buy the letters that he sent the documentary guys for $120. It's on sale right now.
Oh my god.
I know.
Listen, $120 is, like, not that much. He, like, so the people that made the documentary grew up on Staten Island, and there's, like, a folklore kind of boogeyman story called Cropsey of this guy who lived at the abandoned hospitals and kidnapped children, and everyone just thought it was, like, a folklore.
Yeah. And
then it turned out to be true.
Yeah.
Because this guy was literally living in the underground tunnels and kidnapping children.
Yeah. Did you have any, like, urban legends where you grew up?
Well, it wasn't really, like, an urban legend, but there was this one time, since we're on the topic of true crime, it wasn't, like, an urban legend, like, it wasn't, like, something had been around for a really long time.
Yeah.
But there's this really horrific crime that happened at a house that was, like, across the street from me. This guy... Well, I can't remember if it was her ex-husband or her current boyfriend, but this woman was living in this house with, like, her 2 or 3 children.
Yeah.
And either her ex-husband or her boyfriend came in and killed all of them. He stabbed all of them to death. And the next day, there was, like, on the bus, there was, like, this, like, rumor going around between the kids that, like, these big, like, demon dogs came and attacked all of them.
Yeah.
And that's not really an urban legend.
Yeah.
But, like, you know, that was probably the closest thing.
Yeah.
Did you have urban legends?
I don't think so. None that I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also, like, I wasn't friends with a lot of people when I was younger.
Yeah.
So most of my interactions was with my family.
Yeah.
And I don't remember there being any specific urban legends about Snohomish, Washington.
Yeah.
Watch out for the meth heads.
Yes.
I guess.
Yeah, that would probably be the closest thing. And then just
Yeah.
kind of general boogeyman. I mean, like...
Sure, yeah.
You know, that kind of stuff. But nothing specific to my area except for that. And it was just, like, big demon dogs.
Yeah, that's funny.
Which I, like, literally believed until I was, like, in my teens.
Oh,
and,
really?
like, someone told me that, like, it was just a dude that killed his
family.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess demon dogs is a little bit easier to grapple with
Absolutely.
for a kid than
Well,
the thought of, a father killing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing is, like, it was literally, like, so my house, like, backed up to a really busy road. And so, like, our backyard had a fence, and on the other side of the fence was, like, this super busy road.
Yeah.
And so on the other side of that busy road, from, like, the back of our house, on the corner, was this house.
Yeah.
And, like, the horrific crime happened there. Like, 3 or 4 people there died.
Yeah.
And it also, like, because it was on a busy road, but it was on, like, a curve, like, right where it, like, turned.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a sharp turn, so in the middle of the night, people would take it way too fast. And they would, like, slam into that house all the time.
Huh.
Like, there would always be cars crashing, like, into
Yeah.
their backyard and, like, into the house. And, like, it was just, like, that house was cursed.
Yeah. It was a violent house.
It was a violent house, and it had been up for sale for, like, my whole life. Because no one wanted to live there.
Yeah.
Because a guy killed his entire family there, and cars continued to crash into it all the time.
I think the cars crashing into the house would probably be a bigger issue.
Yeah, but I also wouldn't want to live in a house where children were murdered.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't like seek out a house where children were murdered. But I don't know if it'd really affect anything.
Yeah, I don't know. I would just feel weird.
But like, if you
I'd
think
like
about...
walk into the kitchen and be like, "Oh, this is where the kids were murdered with the kitchen knife." Because he came into the house and the mom was making dinner for the kids, and he like took the knife out of her hand and killed them all with that knife.
Yeah. But like, people have died in most houses.
I know, I don't like it.
I feel like we could dive into that. Really get into your psychology.
Yeah.
But yeah, Cropsey. The movie.
Yeah. What did you think of the documentary?
I thought it was good. It wasn't as much of a horror movie as I thought it was.
No, it was...
Everything that I saw was like, this is like a horror movie and a documentary.
Yeah.
But it's really just a documentary.
Yeah.
And maybe that's because when it came out, there weren't as many true crime documentaries.
Yeah.
So, because that's a pretty recent, like, there's definitely a lot more of them now than there were in 2009. So this might have been more horrific. Not that it isn't horrific, but it might have been more frightening to watch when it came out.
Yeah.
As opposed to now, when you can basically watch the same movie 80 times on Netflix.
Yeah.
But
out of all of the crime documentaries, I feel like it's a really good one.
Yeah. No, I think it's really good. I think that it. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It feels kind of quaint almost. I think because it came out before the big boom of true crime, so it's like it feels like two people making a documentary,
yes,
as opposed to this big like corporate production,
yes,
which is kind of what they feel like now.
Yeah. No, it totally does, because they have like the scenes of the people who are literally making the documentary, like reading the notes that they're exchanging with Andre Rand.
It's almost like Blair Witch meets, you know, like a murder mystery kind of. And I think I like that it's more of like a why done it, than a who done it. Yeah, because even though there are moments where you're like, oh, maybe he didn't, maybe it wasn't Andre Rand, it's pretty clear that it was him.
I mean, that's the other interesting thing about this story, though, is that there is, you know, kind of a lack of evidence. Yeah. It's like all kind of like, oh, I saw him with her, or like, we saw him in this area while this abduction was happening. Like, it was all like witness testimony. Yeah. Pretty much. There wasn't any physical evidence.
Yeah. I mean, but there was stuff like, there's the picture of his car right before the...
That was right after.
Right after? Yeah.
Yeah, so he came back to the spot.
Yeah, which is something that the murderers
psychopaths do.
Yeah.
That's like Zodiac style.
No, he didn't go back to the scenes of his crimes.
Did he not?
No. I've seen the movie.
I know, but didn't he... That's what happened when he, like, ran into those cops on the street.
No, he was leaving the scene of the crime.
Oh, he's leaving. I thought he came back.
No.
Oh. Even worse.
Yeah.
Even worse.
Yeah. But a lot of psychopaths and murderers revisit the scenes of their crimes.
Yeah. That's a pretty common trait.
Yeah. And it would always just be like, oh, like he was at the deli that she was at right before she got kidnapped. And he lived in the same building as... Or, like, his aunt was in the same building. Yeah. It's very obvious that he, like, did it. Yeah. There just wasn't a ton of
physical evidence.
What I thought was interesting was I couldn't tell if the filmmakers went out to kind of, like, you know, not sure about his guilt or not. Yeah. Because when they were, like, interacting with him over letters. Yeah. And they seemed to be telling him that they... were at least unbiased. Yeah. And I don't know if that was genuine or if that was them kind of manipulating him to get him to talk with them. But then it turns out that he's manipulating them too. Yeah. Which was creepy. He has apparently, like, he still has people who are, like, into him. One of the letters that I just saw that you could buy was like, here, let me read it really quick.
Okay, yeah.
So this is to a woman named Kelly, who I guess had written him. Okay. It says, "There is much more. I will make it worth your while for helping me. May the love of Jesus live through me for you. Sincerely, I remain Andre Rand."
He's so crazy.
Yeah. He's a regular Chucky Manson type figure. Yeah. I think it's very creepy that people, like, communicate with serial killers in prison and, like, are, like, attracted to them.
Well, I don't understand being, like, attracted to them, but I do understand, like, wanting to, like, understand them. I understand communicating with them to kind of, like, get their perspective. Like, why did he do it? What happened? Like, I want to know. Yeah.
I understand the impulse, but I also think that his sister was right. Yes. When she was like, there is no why. Yeah. Like, whatever his reason for it, there is no real, like, why. And that's how I feel about this stuff in general. Yeah. Like, there can be motivation for stuff. Yeah. But you'll never understand. Like,
I know, but that's what makes it so, like, intriguing, I think, one for me, but I think for like a lot of people who are into true crime, is like, we will never understand why, and that is what's so like intriguing and frustrating.
Yeah,
is that there are these people who do these things, and we can understand like this is the reason they did it, but we'll never know why.
Yeah,
like we will never know what in their brain caused them to do this. And I think that's what's like so like intoxicating about it.
Yeah. And see, I don't have that reaction to that.
I do. Like I need to know.
But I feel like it's connected to maybe like, I don't know. I think that impulse is really interesting, and I think it's maybe a kind of insecurity about either control or like death or just violence in general.
Hey, I have both of those things.
Yeah, no, I know, but I'm very comfortable with like, not comfortable, but I've come to terms with the kind of the chaos and unpredictability of the world.
Yeah. And
I'm also very comfortable with death. And I think those are two things that you are not as comfortable with.
No, I'm, as we mentioned last week, a little bit of a control freak. Mm-hmm. And I'm absolutely horrified of death.
Yeah.
Very scary.
Yeah, and I think that combination probably like does make it would create a really strong desire to like understand why these things happen.
Yeah.
When they're really like there is no answer.
No. I wonder if that's why a lot of women are intrigued by this, because like we're like from a very, very young age taught to like fear everything, and that like people are out to get us and kill us. And I wonder if that's part of it. Is like,
I think so.
That's like our mentality. Like we're like constantly on edge because at any moment a guy could just come up and try to rape us and kill us. Like, it's like we're taught to like never feel safe and to always be on edge. And I wonder if that's like why like the people who listen to true crime podcasts and the people who have true crime podcasts are all women. Yeah.
They talked about that on Culture Binge.
Oh, they did?
Shout out to Culture Binge really quick. And they cited an article that said one of the reasons they were positing was that it's kind of like it allows women to be like, what would I do in this situation? But in like a safe environment. Yeah. So it's kind of like almost a form of like self-defense training. Yeah. Because you just run through all these like basically worst case scenarios and you're just like, you know, here's how this happened, so here's what I shouldn't do. Yeah. In this situation.
Well, that's what the women on My Favorite Murder, Karen and Georgia, they're always like, see, but if I learn about this, then I know what's going to happen. Like, if I know enough about, like, people who murder people, then there's less likelihood of me being murdered.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's wrong. And I also wonder how much of it is also, like, a little bit of confirmation bias. Where it's like, I feel this way, I feel this like insecurity and unsafety, so I'm going to seek out things that justify that feeling. Yeah. And not that it isn't physically dangerous for women to just like walk down the street. Yep. I mean, even like when I get home from work and it's late, it's at like 10 o'clock. Yeah. And I take Kate, our dog, like just like up and down our street. Yeah. Like, if a car drives by, I, like, immediately clench up. Yeah. And it's, like, we know, like, our neighbors. Yeah. Like, it's not that I don't know these people. It's that, like, it could happen at any time. Yes. And it could be anybody. Yeah. But, like, statistically, you're probably not going to get murdered. So it's like, well, that is a real danger. Yes. But it's also like most people go through their life without being murdered.
No, it's true. But there's like a age gap where you're most likely to get murdered if you're between this age. And I'm right in that age right now. So it's like...
Is it like 16 to 20 something?
It's like 16 or 18 to like late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
I don't like... I'm not one of those people who thinks that, like, true crime is awful for people to, like, watch. There are people who are like, it's, like, weird and voyeuristic, and it's eroding the moral fabric of society.
No.
I'm not one of those people. I just don't, like... It doesn't kind of tug my interest the same way.
Yeah. Well, I think those people that say that, like, also think that by watching true crime makes you a murderer, and that's, like, not how it works.
No, I feel like it would be the opposite.
Yeah.
Because the other thing is that, like, most people who do commit murders get caught as well, eventually.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I guess I don't know. Maybe not.
Well, here's the thing. There are so many unsolved murders.
Yeah.
And, like, so many, like, speaking of the Zodiac, like...
We solved the Zodiac.
We did solve the Zodiac.
It was that guy. What was his name?
I don't remember.
We talked about him in, what episode was it?
It was
something that took place in, like... Oh, it was the Ma episode. Right?
Oh, I think you're right.
It was in, like, Idaho or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or Ohio.
Ohio.
I think it was Ohio. Yeah.
But, like, you know, there's so many high-profile cases, and there are so many cases that are just, like, you know, random.
Yeah.
That, like, have never been solved.
Yeah, it is true.
I feel like it's probably more have been solved than not solved, but I think there's a good portion that have not been solved.
Yeah. Okay. We keep going off on different areas.
I know.
On Cropsey. But, I mean, it's a big topic. And also, like, I don't have a ton to say about the movie itself, because it's just, like, a documentary, and it's, like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did, like, I mean, because we also watched the Amanda Knox documentary this week, and that was, like, super, super skewed.
Yes.
Like, very obviously trying to prove that she's innocent. She's not. She's guilty. She did it. But, like, this one I did appreciate that it did feel a little bit more, like, down the line. Because it wasn't a whodunit. It was, like you said, it was, like, a why.
Trying to and kind of trying to sort... And, like, So, it was really about, like, about all the stories and rumors and legends that kind of spring up around people like Andre Rand.
Yeah.
And how he was different. He was a different person to different people.
Yep.
And so, like, there was his friend who was just like, he's just my friend.
Yeah.
Even there was something up with that guy though. He had a look in his eye where you're like, something's not right. And then there was the one cop who was like, he's a Satanist and he's like part of a pedophile ring, and he has like a full-on cult who kidnaps kids and passes them around.
Yeah. And there was that guy who, like, was working on the roof, and he was just like, I don't know, it just seems fishy. Like, he's like, I don't really know an answer.
Yeah. But yeah, it was an interesting kind of look at that and how people kind of create meaning and stories in their heads about stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think that most likely is that he believed that he was like, it was his duty to cleanse the earth of disabled people.
Yeah. Because his mom also had mental issues and was in and out of a mental hospital.
And he worked in a mental hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think he, like, had a feeling of duty of kind of, like, one, cleansing the earth, but also, like, he thought that, like, no one would be able to, like, fully care for these people.
Yeah.
Like, no one could love them.
Yeah.
And so he wanted to, like, put them out of their misery.
Yeah, that was another part of it.
Because he saw all of these kids and people just being dumped at this hospital.
Yeah.
And, like, he obviously felt like their lives are better off, like, they're better off dead because no one's going to be able to care for them or love them.
Yeah.
So why would they even want to live?
Right. Truly
horrific.
Yeah. Yes, a very disturbed individual.
Yes.
Yeah.
So my loose connection. Do you have anything else to say about Cropsey?
Oh, just that I liked this more than the Amanda Knox documentary.
Oh, me too.
I do think there's something, like, I don't know. There's something a little sleazy about these really, like, slick, big budget looking true crime documentaries.
Yeah.
Where it's like drone shots and it's like, I don't know, you know, when it starts to feel more like a corporate thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's when I'm like, I don't know about this. Yeah. It's one thing when it's just like two people who wanted to go make a documentary about this urban legend.
Yeah.
And it's another thing when like Netflix is like, we want an Amanda Knox documentary and we're going to do whatever we can to kind of like hook people and make it really like slick and professional looking. And that's when I think you get into the kind of like gray area of whether or not that's okay.
Yeah.
And it starts to feel exploitative of like, not even of tragedy, but just of people's like kind of urge to, you know, like watch that stuff. Because you also look at Netflix and just how much true crime content is on there.
So much.
Yeah. And it starts to feel a little sleazy, at least to me.
Yeah.
You're really like taking advantage.
They're really cashing in.
Yeah.
On this.
Yeah. Which is like, it's fine to cash in on entertainment, on what people are like into.
Yeah.
But it is odd when what people are into is like real murder.
Yeah.
Stuff. And then there's stuff with like Making a Murderer and like The Jinx, where it's like the filmmakers really having an impact on the actual like case going on, and sometimes it's good and they'll like exonerate someone.
Yeah.
But then there's stuff like The Jinx where those guys are on trial now because of he confessed in one of their episodes.
Yeah.
But they didn't take it to the police because they wanted the show to get released and that to be a surprise.
Yeah.
And it's like, so they're now on trial for obstruction of justice.
Yeah.
And then there was also something about how it might not have been like legit.
Yeah.
Too. And it's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know about that, where you're getting in the way of an actual murder investigation for the sake of your really like dumb, insignificant TV show.
Yeah. Well, it reminds me a lot of the journalist that was interviewed in Amanda Knox documentary. The sleaziest fucking journalist I've ever. His quote was, what am I supposed to do? Fact check? And I was like, yes, you're a journalist. That's what you're supposed to do. He's like, I'm just reporting on what people tell me. And I'm like,
my favorite quote was when the filmmaker asked him if he could tell him where he heard one of the stories or theories. And he was like, oh, I can't give up a source for my journalistic integrity. It was like, really funny. I have a certain amount of respect for that guy, for just the sheer how blatant he was with how sleazy he was. And look, to me, that's like most journalism. Like, whether you like it or not, like, the news is good, but it's just a business now.
I know.
That's the thing. It's like, whether or not you want to admit it, basically everyone's like him. Where, like, the kind of the truth, the boring truth, because it's always just boring, is always going to be secondary to a good headline.
Yeah.
Because you still have to sell ad copy or whatever. Even publications that I respect, like the New York Times, they're still going to cater to what's going to sell. And there's just, like, unbiased journalism is when BBC puts up articles that's literally just, like, a paragraph being like, this happened.
Yeah.
And it's like, no one's, like, reading that.
Yeah.
It's fucked up. But anyway. The art, would you recommend Cropsey?
Yes, I would.
Yeah. I don't feel like I can go through the criteria on this, because it's like...
It's documentary.
It's a documentary.
Really work.
Yeah, and it's not really, like, trying to be... Like, it's not trying to have, like, good cinematography or...
Yeah.
It's just, like, a documentary.
Yeah.
So,
it was good.
It was good. I would recommend it.
Yeah, it's an interesting story.
Yeah, probably don't watch it if you're alone.
Probably not.
Because it does make it easy to imagine people living in tunnels and kidnapping you.
Yes.
The Art of Self-Defense. 2019.
Yes.
Jesse Eisenberg. Other people. I don't...
My loose connection that I made to justify talking about both is that Andre Rand was kind of, the head of, like, a little cult that, like, lived in these tunnels. Because also his name was, like, spray painted all over the tunnels.
Yeah.
Like, really weird.
Yeah.
But, so he's kind of like the head of a little cult of people who live underground. And then Art of Self-Defense also kind of has a cult.
Yeah, there's a little karate cult.
Yeah. And that was my loose connection.
Yeah.
To justify talking about it both.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the one that I brought up yesterday was that I think they're both kind of about, like violence and what attracts us to violence.
Yeah.
And whereas Cropsey is very much, like, kind of indulging you in that, like, want to see sick shit. The Art of Self-Defense is kind of judging you a little bit.
Yeah.
For being into it.
For sure.
So, in The Art of Self-Defense, Jesse Eisenberg is a meek, awkward, beta cuck, liberal snowflake. He's like a really awkward, uncomfortable, like, totally can't, like, stand up for himself or, like, even have a conversation with other people.
Yeah.
Very frightened, like a frightened rabbit.
Yes.
And then he gets mugged, and he starts going to a karate class run by a very kind of mysterious, enigmatic instructor.
Yeah.
And then, it's a very weird, cultish class.
It is.
And things start escalating, and violence ensues. Murder. What did you think of The Art of Self-Defense?
It was very good.
It was.
Really, really good.
Yeah. One of the most unique and enjoyable movies I've seen all year.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. A true, like, independent movie.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah,
it was not what I expected at all. But, like, in a good way.
Yeah. I kind of knew going in that because I had heard that it gets kind of intense and dark.
Yeah.
But I'd purposely stayed away from, like what happened in it.
Yeah.
I just kind of wanted to go in and experience it.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I did. It goes in some unexpected places.
It really does. Yeah, and it's again, I mean, when kind of when we were talking about Cropsey and, like, women kind of using their interest in true crime to kind of prepare themselves.
Yeah.
Like, that's what he's doing, is that he like, he got mugged, he was beaten up, he got sent to the hospital, it was a very traumatic experience for him, so he's using, like, that, like, experience to kind of, like, build himself back up.
Yeah.
It's like his way of preventing anything further.
Yes. I want to do a quick review before we get into the spoilers because it just came out. And, like, I don't know how many people can actually, like, go see it.
Sure.
Because it's a pretty limited release.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go through the criteria now.
Okay.
And then we'll get into spoilers after that.
Okay.
So, plot.
Interesting.
Very interesting. Very original.
Unique.
Unpredictable.
Yep.
There were some things that I guessed.
Yes.
Pretty much right from the outset.
Yeah.
But
it was one of those things where it was like you thought it was going to happen, but you weren't sure.
Right.
Because things kept happening like that were kind of unexpected.
Yes.
So it's like even if you had an idea in your head of where it was going, like you really didn't know if it was actually going to go that way or like complete opposite.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was good.
Yeah. And a very we talked about how odd and kind of fluid the tone was. How it would slide back and forth between being very comedic in kind of a dry, weird way.
Yeah.
And being very dark.
Yeah.
And I think the ending is like kind of when those two tones like meld together.
Yeah.
Because it's very funny, but also very like uncomfortable. And if you like think about what actually happens at the end, it's very twisted and dark.
Yes.
But it fits in the context of their little like world.
Yes.
So that it was good.
Yeah, it was really
very well written.
Yeah.
I thought that some of the dialogue was a little clunky sometimes. Because everyone talks in a very like awkward, kind of verbose way. And I thought that most of the time it worked. Yeah. And then sometimes it didn't. Like, there were some line deliveries where I was like, that feels like you wrote that line. It doesn't feel like an actual exchange.
Yeah, but I think you were supposed to feel that way.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I think that part of it was supposed to feel stilted. But there were, on top of that, I just think there were a couple of moments where that kind of fell flat. And it didn't work as well. But for the most part, like, I mean, it was really just a couple moments. Acting, characters.
Great.
Yeah. Yeah, really.
Jesse Eisenberg does that really good. So well.
Yeah. Very interesting characters.
Yeah.
In it. It pulled off my favorite thing, which is not explaining anyone's backstory. Yeah. But just, like, you get to know who these people are through their actions and dialogue.
Yes.
So there wasn't any, like, they didn't take a very long time to set up anyone's character. Yeah. But you just kind of know who these people are through, like, small details and line deliveries and that kind of stuff. I also think this was a period piece. I think this was, like, set in the 80s or 90s.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was, too.
Yeah. They don't make a big thing out of it, though.
No, they don't.
It's just kind of, like...
That was where it was...
Yeah.
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 Yeah, it definitely wasn't modern.
No. Well, because no one had phones.
No.
And I didn't, like, realize it until about 3/4 of the way through. And I was like, oh, like, no one has cell phones.
Yeah. Well, and, like, in that one scene, he used, like, a big, like, tape recorder camera.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that, and I was like, oh, I wonder... Well, because I couldn't tell if it was just, like... A lot of movies and shows do that, where it, like, is modern times, but it's just kind of using an 80s or a 90s aesthetic. Yeah. But I think this actually was set in the 90s.
I think it was, too.
Yeah. Aesthetic. Like, you know, the look of it, the acting, all that fun music stuff.
I thought it was also good.
Yeah. It was a very distinctive, like, visual look to it.
Yeah. That had a very specific color palette throughout the whole movie.
Very specific color palette. It was one of those things where it was, like, shot in to look kind of ugly. Yeah. And I think it worked really well in this movie. Yeah. And it was kind of able to do that. It was shot on, I think, 16 millimeter film, and I think that if you had shot this digitally, it would have just looked bad.
Ugh, it would not have worked.
That's like ugly cinematography doesn't look good on digital formats because it just looks ugly.
Yeah.
But film is a very I feel a very expressive and just a very beautiful medium.
Yeah.
So it adds it adds something to what is being shown.
Yeah.
And I think that aesthetic works really well for this movie.
It did.
Yeah.
It kind of felt like it was in sepia tone the entire time.
Yeah, it was very muted.
Everything was in browns and grays and there weren't bright colors. It was very, very muted.
Yeah.
The only bright colors were the colors of the belts.
Yes. Yeah. The music was also really good. This is the first movie I've seen this year where the music actually stood out to me as being good. Yeah. Most of the time it's just I feel like every movie has the same score. Yeah. That's a whole nother topic, but movie music is not good anymore. It really is so homogenous. Yeah. And there's an interesting video essay about that a couple of years ago about how it's because of digital editing, you'll edit a movie to kind of a temp soundtrack. You'll just grab bits of music that you like. Yeah. But then the problem is that then directors and producers are okay, so they'll go to the composer and be make a song that sounds like this, because that's what they edited it to. And that's what they grew to like. And it just makes everything sound exactly the same. Everything's just ambient and yes. I don't know. It's bad. But this had a very, very good soundtrack. It really ratcheted up the tension, and it was just kind of very uncomfortable.
Yeah,
very
sure.
grating. Theme.
Interesting.
Pretty clear. Yeah. It was very clearly about masculinity and toxic masculinity and buzzwords like that. No, but about kind of the destructiveness of that really testosterone fueled masculinity. Yeah. It read kind of to me like an allegory for the incel type people. Yeah. Who are who just feel like they don't have any power or control and feel like they have to compensate for it. Yes. Yeah.
I know it wasn't subtle. Yeah. It was pretty direct. Yes. I mean, he literally said she's weaker because she's a woman.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. Yeah. That guy who just clearly didn't like women at all.
So, it was, pretty clear.
Yeah. I also enjoyed the implication that he was probably very closeted gay. Yeah. Because there's that one scene where he's massaging Jesse Eisenberg's shoulders. Yep. And he's talking about it was such a great line. He was
there are things that women do and things that men do, and there are things that they do together. One of them is sex.
Yeah. But then he starts talking about, but men can do things together too, or something like that. Yeah. It's not as on the nose as that. Yeah. But it was something akin to that. Yeah. Where it was just very clearly he was harboring some deep gay. Yeah. It was really funny.
Because there's also that scene where they're all stretching and all the guys strip down. Yeah. Very weird.
Super gay. Yeah. Very homoerotic.
Very homoerotic.
Yeah. And then progressive or conservative? Progressive. Yeah. I think, very clearly. Yeah. It's very clearly kind of a targeted at the really, again, the testosterone fueled version of masculinity. Yeah. And I think at the end it kind of, says that it doesn't work and you need to have
a balance.
A balance between just very well, yeah, and there's a difference between being confident and secure in yourself and who you are and
compensating.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's one thing to be masculine and be okay with being masculine.
Yeah.
But there's one thing... It's another thing to be masculine and try to be masculine because you're not secure in your masculinity.
Or your femininity. Because people have both.
Yep. And that was something that they actually mentioned, too. There's, like, that line where they said, like, he was talking about... Oh, it was in, like, the locker room, and one of the guys was like, you know, there's a lot of testosterone here.
Yeah.
And he was like, testosterone is a hormone that men make, and women make it too, but not as much.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So would you recommend The Art of Self-Defense?
Absolutely.
I would too. Go see it.
100%.
Yeah.
Go support
100%. Yeah. It's very good. Okay. Spoiler alert. Spoiler territory.
Yeah. From here on out.
Yeah. We did it. We did a complete review without spoiling anything.
It only took us, how many episodes?
Like 20 something. Yeah. So the twist is that like the karate group is the same is the people who like mugged him.
Yeah.
Which I definitely saw coming.
Yeah.
Pretty much like from that scene, I was like, I think I know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Because they had that shot where they showed the one guy standing in, like, the back of the group with his arms crossed, and there was a big, like, push-in.
That was the girl.
Was it the girl?
Yes.
I knew it was one of them.
I knew it was I knew that was a girl from, like, when they zoomed in, and I was like, that's a girl. I could tell because she has boobs.
Oh, I see. I didn't.
They tried to hide it. They tried to hide it, but by hiding it, it made it, like, more noticeable to me. I was like...
Yeah.
I could tell that they were trying to, like, make it look like she wasn't a girl. But I could tell she was a girl.
But I think you kind of know from that shot that, like, that's going to come back into play.
Yes.
And so I just assumed that it was, like, going to be the karate troupe. And it was. I wasn't expecting that they just went around murdering people.
No.
And, like, filming it.
Yeah. So what they did was they tried to, like... They would go around and they would, like, either... Like, their idea was that, like, give people a choice to either better their lives or not.
Yeah.
And...
Kind of like Saw.
Yeah. And it was again, a god complex because the sensei, like, thought that he, like, would impact people's lives. And that if he did this to them, it was actually for... like, good.
Yeah.
So they would go around and they would find someone and they would, like, attack them.
Yeah.
And they would either, like, if they thought that there was a chance that the person would improve their lives from this scenario, they would leave them alive. Mm-hmm. If they thought that this person was not going to better their lives, they would kill them.
Yeah. There's that line when he asks what the red stripe on the belt is for.
Yes.
And the guy's like, it's for taking a life. Just kidding. And you kind of forget about it, and then it turns out that it actually is for, like...
Taking a life.
Yeah. Very, very, like, clever movie.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just that there's something about the sensei character that was very funny. Because he's just this total, like... He's just a total, like, loser.
Yeah.
But he's, like, totally insane and has built this, like... This like, environment where he is important. Yeah, and in charge.
It reminds me of someone... I'm not going to say who it is, but... It reminds me a lot of someone that you know.
Who? I'll cut it out. I'm just curious. Oh. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I don't know. It was good. I liked the I can't remember what the woman's name was.
They didn't, like, say her name, like, at all.
I guess no one, like, they didn't really say anyone's name.
They didn't.
It was just the main character.
And the main character.
Yeah, and everyone else was just
Casey.
kind of, yeah.
But particularly, like, I noticed that, like, they would just say, like, her or she.
Yeah. Because
she was the only girl.
Yeah.
And so it felt kind of purposeful that they never said her name.
Yeah.
Because it made her seem less.
Yeah. It was an interesting, I think, kind of critique of, like, tokenism, too. Because she was the only woman in this, like, male space.
Yeah.
And there was the stuff where, like, she had to, like, just completely turn herself into, like, a man.
Yeah.
In order to be accepted. And not to be accepted, but she wasn't even accepted.
Yeah.
Like, she would always be less than in the eyes of that group.
Yeah.
And the fact that she, like, she couldn't advance to the final... She couldn't advance to black belt.
Yeah.
It was a very interesting... Like, it made me feel like the movie was also kind of about, like, business and how business works.
Yes.
Because that's very true, and that's how tokenism works. And there's a lot of, like, interesting kind of, like, social critiques of that. Not even just of, like, hypermasculinity, but of just, like, how minorities function in like a majority driven space.
Yeah.
And then there's it makes me think of the episode of Revisionist History where they talk about moral licensing too, where, like, you do one good thing and then that gives you license to do bad things.
Yeah.
It's like they let a woman into the group so that it gives them license to, like, restrict her and you know,
they're like, we did a good thing, but we don't have to, like we let her in, but we don't have to, like, I can't think of the word that I'm thinking of, but, like, I don't think obligated is the word that I'm looking for, but, like, that's kind of along the lines of what I'm thinking of, is, like, they let her in so they don't feel obligated to, like, continue
right.
to...
Well, because they can be like, look how, like, we're progressive, we let a woman in.
Yeah.
So then it excuses them from having to do anything else.
Yeah.
From having to actually, like, treat her as equal.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then there's the whole stuff about how he's, like, he, like, videotapes them to blackmail them into paying him fees.
Yeah.
After they, like, leave the dojo.
Yeah.
And then there's all the stuff with, like, bookkeeping and accounting. And I was like, this just kind of feels like it's almost an allegory for business and, like, capitalism and the destructiveness of that.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just me projecting onto it, but I think there's something there.
No, I don't think it's you projecting. I think that there's definitely a connection.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it, I feel like I got most of it because of, like, of her, like, being the only woman and totally being a token.
Yeah.
Because, like, companies are just, like, instead of actually being progressive or inclusive, they're just meeting quotas.
Right, exactly. Disney.
Yeah. So, like, they have to have a certain percentage of their employees be women, and they have to have a certain percentage of their employees be African American or Hispanic or, you know, whatever minority.
Yeah. Well, it's like, what do we have to do so that we can get a pass for continuing in, like, the same way that we have been?
Yeah.
So it's like you can allow a very constricted amount of change because you know that it lets you, like, remain the same. Yeah. Basically. And then there's stuff in his workplace too, where there's that group of guys who are always talking about, like having sex, and they look at, like, Playboy and stuff like that. And how their boss, who's just this really, like, nice guy, is seen as, like, bad or weak because he's just, like, a nice guy. Yeah. And he doesn't participate in that. There was stuff in there too where it kind of, I think, was about, you know, like, male-driven workplace environments and that kind of stuff. Yeah. Yeah. And it does tie into our discussion that we had after that about Disney and how they're not actually progressive, even though they pretend to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you look at their hierarchy, it is like men. So they're the ones who have all the power and make all the money. You can go see as many Captain Marvel movies as you want. It's not going to make the world a more female-friendly place.
No. Sorry,
Brie Larson. Like, go fuck yourself.
Well, I feel that it's important, but what I said yesterday, and I stand by this, is that, like, you know, they're having Natalie Portman be like female Thor.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's great, but it's not progressive or inclusive, because if you wanted to be progressive or inclusive, you would have just had her be Thor from the beginning.
Yeah.
Like, that would have been the progressive or inclusive thing. Not being like, oh, well, now that we had the male Thor, his storyline is over, you know, now we can have it be a woman.
Right.
Because we already had a guy do it.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. I also feel like they're just kind of corporate shills, and basically they're just selling out their beliefs for money. Because it's like, I don't know, it's just a giant corporation advertising themselves by pretending to be progressive with these, like, look at these strong women that we hired.
Yeah.
And it's like, let's march them out at Comic-Con to make everyone see how inclusive we are.
Yeah.
And it's like, fuck you. Like, and fuck them a little bit for, like, because you know they're all just doing it for money.
Yeah.
Like, maybe Brie Larson gives kind of a shit about what she's doing, but I also think that she's really full of shit.
Yes.
And like, she thinks she's so much more important than she is. And then you have, like, Natalie Portman and Scarlett Johansson, who are just so obviously doing it because they dumped a dump truck's load of money on their front lawn. And it's all just to push this advertising campaign that Disney is like a progressive company.
Yeah.
When they're not. It's marketing. It's all advertising. That's the thing. That I'm mad. But, like, that's what I hate about the Marvel movies, is because they're just advertisements for themselves.
Yeah.
They're not actual movies. And the actors that they get to be in them are just marketing tools to make more movies and make more money. It's all just advertising for Disney. Like, none of it's real.
Yeah.
It's all fake. I hate it. I hate them. I hate them so much. They're like the worst company. I don't care. I know that there are worse companies, but Disney is like the worst, because they're just going to control everything in like 20 years. Fuck them. Blow them up. They need to go. Like, it's horrible. And they take away, we talked about this too, but they take away like theater time for other movies. And like, I think I looked at the top box office movies from this year, and they're all Disney movies. Like, literally every single one is a Disney movie.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And they're not your friend. They're not, like, they don't give a shit about women or, like, minority culture or anything. All they want is your money, and they're going to do whatever they can to get your money.
Yeah.
So when you see an ad for Captain Marvel that's like, and they have a pull quote from some critic that's like, the superhero movie that women always wanted. It's like, they're not doing that because they actually believe that.
Yeah.
They're doing that because they know that someone is going to see that on Facebook and be like, finally, a superhero movie for me.
Yeah.
Let me go plunk down my $20 to go see this, like, fake corporate advertisement.
Yeah.
It's just the worst. Culture is dead.
But, like, I do think that the way people, you know, justify it. So, like, for example, Brie Larson, like, obviously she's getting a fuck ton of money.
Yeah.
But she also gets to justify in her head that she's doing it for a good reason.
Right. Yeah.
So it's, I don't think necessarily she's doing it just for the money, but I think that, you know, she gets to use the excuse that, like, look, I'm doing this good thing. And,
right.
like, I don't, you know, Scarlett Johansson's a whole other deal. Well, she can go fucking die in a hole.
Yeah.
But, like, Natalie Portman, like, obviously she's getting a ton of money to be Thor. Like, she's much more talented than the Marvel movies.
Yeah.
But, like, I'm sure that she, like, also feels like she is contributing something.
I feel like she's too smart to be duped into that.
I don't know.
She has a degree in psychology.
I know. She's very smart.
She's, like, really smart. Because it's so obvious. That's, like, I don't think... She might be doing it because she's getting an assload of money and because she gets to work with like, Taika Waititi, who's a really, like, good filmmaker. So from that standpoint, I think it's a good opportunity. I think it's a combination of the money and, like, the kind of the people involved in that project. And the fact that she's not just going to be, like, the love interest again. But it's like, I mean, you can delude yourself into thinking that, like, being in one of those movies is making it, like, a statement. But I feel like she's too smart for that.
Yeah.
I don't think she'd be suckered into viewing it like that.
Yeah.
But who knows? I mean, it's very easy to lie to yourself.
I mean, I don't know how you would be able to, like, do those movies without that thought in your head. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it would be so hard, like, especially for someone who is as brilliant as Natalie Portman, to, like, justify doing a Marvel movie like that without, like, feeling like she's contributing. You know what I mean?
I guess. I don't know. I mean, I'd do one of those, something like that for money. And I don't think I would really have any illusions about it. I don't think there's really, like, I don't really have a problem with people, like, acting in a Marvel movie for like, money or like, exposure. It's more frustrating when they seem to think that they're, like, making something, like, that's valuable.
Yeah.
And I guess I would just hope that Natalie Portman isn't that dumb.
Yeah.
Or, like, easily kind of manipulated by Disney. So, I don't know. But, The Art of Self-Defense. I don't really have a whole lot more to say about it.
No, I mean, it's kind of a perfect movie. I mean,
it's really good.
There's really not much to critique about it. I mean, it's really interesting to talk about.
Yeah.
But, it's also, there's not much to, like, critique or, like, really discuss. Like, it's a fascinating movie, but I think it's also one of those movies where it's like you watch it and you just kind of have to sit with it with yourself.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and it's a very interesting movie because I think it really is about, like, corporate masculinity, really.
Yeah.
And how those things... Because I also think that capitalism and, like, corporate structure is kind of inherently, like, masculine.
Absolutely.
It's very much about, like, you, like, coming out on top and you fucking over people who stand in your way.
Yeah.
Which to me feels very, very masculine.
Well, yeah, because it's not... It's all about, like... Oh, like, as long as I get to the top, it doesn't matter what happens to everyone else.
Yeah, it's about being, like, the toughest.
Yes.
The toughest one in the room, really. Yeah.
And that's such a masculine trait.
Yes.
Like, having to display your strength and, like, be the strongest.
Yeah.
That, that's what war is. Like,
yeah. Well, and what the movie says is that comes out of a place of insecurity.
Yes.
Which I think is mostly true.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think some people are just assholes. But I think that a lot of that comes out of kind of lack of real, like, self-respect and self-love.
I think the fraction of people who are just assholes are a lot smaller than people actually think.
Yeah.
Like, there are people who are just, like, dicks. And regardless of anything, like, they're not going to change. They're just dicks. Like, you can't do much about it. But I think that fraction is a lot smaller than what people actually think.
Yes.
I think that the majority of people like that are acting out because of something.
And some lack.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, guys with big trucks. I mean, what are we compensating for?
A little dick.
Yeah. So it's like, there's always something.
Yeah. Okay. Would you recommend The Art of Self-Defense?
Yes, 10 out of 10.
Me too. Go see it.
Go see it. Go support it.
Yeah, go see it in theaters if you can. Because it does matter. Like,
it does.
It's easy to be like, oh, well, no one else is going to go see it, so it doesn't matter if I go see it. But, like...
It does.
It does. Everyone who is able to should go support independent film.
Yeah. And we saw it at our AMC, so...
Yeah.
Like, you can see it at an AMC.
Hopefully.
Not all of them, but hopefully you can find one near you.
Yeah, the bigger ones, I think, play those, yeah.
If not, check your, like, local small theater.
Yeah.
You know, your second-run theater.
Yeah.
Those kinds of places.
Support independent film.
Do it.
Okay. That is the show. Thank you for listening. Make sure to follow us on Instagram and all that stuff and share us around.
Please subscribe and rate us on iTunes.
Yeah, send us an email at mysticfrightcast@gmail.com if you have any questions or suggestions. And it's been lovely.
Love you.
Bye-bye.